Hey, what's up guys? Brad with Squared Away Every Day, and today we are going to be talking about the sudden and massive haircut that both new Teslas just took and used Teslas have been taking for about the past 3 months or so, and what's going on with that whole situation. I'm pretty closely married to it at this point because I've been trying to get rid of this particular vehicle, loosely I should say, for about the past 3 months. In this vehicle, I mean my Model X Plaid that I'm driving in, well, right this second. Now, if you like this kind of content, please go ahead and give me a like, give me a sub, and let's hop into it. All right, so what's been going on? Well, just very quickly in a nutshell, I went to go try to just test the waters to see what I could get for this 2022 Tesla Model X Plaid with about 4,000 miles on it at the end of Q3 of 2022. Now, I got offered somewhere around 130K-ish, a little over 130K at that point. I still wasn't really ready to sell. When my schedule calmed down a little bit, I reached back out to see what I could get about a month later, and I was getting offers for about 120K. And I thought to myself, I'm not selling the vehicle for that much money. This is ridiculous. I just got offered 130K. Mind you, I have owned a Model 3 Performance, Y Performance, S Plaid, and now an X Plaid, and I had never gotten burned on a Tesla. In my mind, they were kind of like vehicles like a Toyota. They just don't really decrease in value all that much. You can drive them for a while, and you're not going to just, lose your ass on it. So essentially, at that 120K point, I said, nah, I'll just wait, I'll come back. I thought it was kind of a glitch in the market maybe. I thought to myself, I will come back and see what I can get in a month or two and see what the market's looking like. Came back in a month or two, and I was getting offers around 110K or less. And so really what was happening is about every 4 weeks, the value on the X Plaids in particular were dropping about $10,000 every month. And so that was kind of a big hit to take. Not too good, but what was going on this whole time and why I kept reaching back out to see if the values were going to go up a little bit was because one reason in particular is I kept seeing all these Model X Plaids listed as a Plaid. They were not a Plaid. And how do I know? Because, well, the biggest reason is you can only get a 6-seater variant to get a Plaid. If it's 5 seats or 7 seats, it's not a Plaid. And so I saw all these dealerships trying to sell their Plaids, trying to sell their Model X's as a Plaid, and they weren't Plaids. And so what was happening with that? Well, the days on market went up at the dealerships, which meant they kept cutting prices. And you also had some people buying these vehicles, and the sticker would even show, the window sticker from Tesla would even show that it was a X Plaid or an S Plaid or even the 3 Performances or the Y Performances. It would say it was that, and it was not. And so you had some people buying these cars that didn't know what the heck they were buying, and they would go and they'd fight with Tesla and try to get money back, or they'd fight with the dealership. And so then dealerships were not even wanting to really buy the vehicles, and if they were, they would buy them for pretty cheap because they knew what kind of fight it was going to be to try and get rid of that vehicle. So all the while this is happening to where we've got these long ranges being sold as Plaids, and we've got these that's going on. We've got interest rates going up the entire time too. Now, we have been living in a situation to where we've been super spoiled by 2% interest rates on cars and 2.5% to 3% interest rates on homes, to where now when you're looking at, let's just say fall of 2022, you're looking between 5 and 7% interest rate, depending on if you're looking at new or used vehicles. People weren't having it. People were either canceling their orders that they had placed for a while, or people were just not buying used Teslas. That was just what was going on. So the demand fell for the new Teslas. So that meant the lead times went down. And so what happened to the used Tesla prices? Well, they just plummeted. And in return, it looked like, well, we know that people were not really buying the new ones either. And that's very apparent because at the end of Q4, like right end of December for 2022, Tesla issued the $7,500 credit that you could get for buying a Model 3 or a Model Y. Now, we're going to hop into that in just 1 second here, but in conjunction with that, we have the demographic of people who buy Teslas is somewhere around my age. It's going to be males 25 to 40 years old-ish that are buying Teslas. Now, a lot of these people are going to be heavily invested in stocks, crypto, Bitcoin, NFTs, all that kind of stuff. And those, as we all know, took a huge hit this year. And so, that was just also taking out a little more people out of the buyer pool from people that actually wanted to go ahead and buy a Tesla. So we've got interest rates going up. We've got people just kind of iffy about the market, maybe losing money on investments. Lead times are way down. People are not wanting to buy new Teslas or used Teslas. Days on market are going up for the used Teslas, which means that prices still continue to come down. All the while, I've got some notes, that's why I keep looking down here. All the while, we've got an excess of competitors entering the market at this point. Now, when I ordered this X Plaid in January of 2022, it was with the intention of getting an electric vehicle that could be a little bit more practical for me for work, that I could use it for hauling around boxes and crap like that to my business. The S Plaid that I had, that was strictly a personal vehicle that I had for about a year, let's just say I had it was about a year. I put 3,000 miles on that thing in just about a year of ownership. I didn't drive it that much. And so that was a big reason I got rid of it. And that was why I ordered the X Plaid. Now, at the time when I ordered that X Plaid in January 2022, it was one of the bigger, probably the biggest electric vehicle that you could buy, that you could actually buy. The Hummer EVs were so expensive, it was just ridiculous. Rivians were still not super available. You couldn't really get them that easily either. And there was a huge backlog of orders on that. And so this was going to be the car for me. Now, the cool thing is it is quite a bit bigger for the cargo space in the very, very back. So I do use it for about 65% of the work, or I'm sorry, about 60 to 65% of the time when I'm driving this vehicle, it's for work. And so that's great for me for tax reasons, for bonus depreciation off of a Section 179 and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, it worked out for me personally. But at that time, there wasn't a lot of competitors in the space to where you had a lot of options away from Tesla. So now, fast forward 8 months into late fall of 2022, we've got Rivians, we've got GMC doing all these different trucks, and Chevy, we've got Mercedes EQS, we've got a lot of different, we've got the Ioniq 5s, all these different cars. And so now people have options. You don't have to buy a Tesla. And a lot of these options are very affordable. It's not like Tesla's the only game in town anymore. Now, all the while that's happening, Elon goes and he buys Twitter. And that's fine. I was super excited when he bought Twitter. There was a lot of people, though, that were surprised when Elon bought Twitter because he is so I don't even know what I want to say. I don't really get political in my videos at all. I will if you want me to. I'm happy to do it, but I don't really do that. And I think a lot of people were upset with Elon because he was so vocal about just free speech and just kind of like a lot of different stuff going on in the space. And so there was a certain sect of people that were very far leaning left that decided, hey, I don't really want to be a part of this. I don't want to go support Elon. And they also withdrew from buying new and used vehicles. So the buyer pool keeps shrinking here. And the musical chairs looks like it's about to stop for people like you and me that actually own Teslas. Now, I still own my Model Y Performance. That's not really a vehicle that I ever really want to get rid of. I'll probably end up keeping it maybe, that's just funny, I will get rid of it, but it's not like I'm getting rid of it because I don't like it. I'll probably end up getting rid of it in a year or two just because that's kind of how I roll. I own a vehicle for maybe like 3 years or so, and then I kind of get rid of it. And so that wasn't a big deal. But this particular vehicle we're going to own for probably a little while. So it just is what it is. The good news is, the biggest reason I have not liked these Plaids is the steering yoke. And I've gone through the entire arc of the Plaids. Believe me, I've gone through the love phase and it's just the coolest thing ever, to hating it, to just now where I'm at, where it's like, it's not that big of a deal. I don't really hate it, but I don't love it either. And I would prefer a wheel. A wheel's just more functional, period. So that's my opinion on it. And I've been driving Teslas with steering yokes for for more than most people, let's put it that way, for about a year and a half. So anyway, all the while that's happening, I do keep seeing people selling their S Plaids and X Plaids on like forums and stuff like that just a few months after they've purchased them. Now, a big reason for that, probably the biggest reason most people were doing that was, well, maybe they got in and they just bought too expensive of a vehicle, but behind that would be the steering yoke, what I was just talking about. They just bought it and they weren't super sold on the EVs in the first place, and then they've got this yoke and they didn't like it. They didn't like it. And so that was a big reason a lot of people were selling the S's and the X's back to dealerships or just selling them third party, is because they weren't super stoked about the yoke. And for that expensive of a vehicle, I get it. You should be driving something that you want. And then finally, the nail in the coffin for why the price cut, the haircut happened for the new vehicles, and now also the used vehicles just continue to keep just plummeting, is the federal tax credit that was supposed to be coming in 2023. Now, right around November, December, the used car prices on EVs and new EVs just in general just really started to tank, not just Tesla. And it's because of that federal tax credit. Everybody was like waiting for the $7,500 tax credit, even though we didn't really know what vehicles were going to qualify at that time. But anyway, nonetheless, the aftermarket and new vehicle prices suffered because of it. And an excellent example of that is Tesla slashing $7,500 off of the 3s and the Ys right at the end of December, giving you a tax credit so that you felt better about your purchase and so that it bolstered their end of year deliveries. And so anyway, that's what's been going on. Personally speaking, I think you're going to have a lot of people that are very upset about just having bought like a Model Y Performance, and it's just overnight, it's just $20,000 less. You've got $20,000 of negative equity in a car you just bought, and that's compared to a new car. That's not even compared to you driving it off the lot and it being a used vehicle now and putting some miles on it. So I think there's going to be a lot of people super bitter about that. Me, am I one of those people? Not really. I bought this car at about 124K, something like that. And so it's not like I think they're selling for about 124, 125 with the same variant right now. Black exterior, cream interior, no full self-drive. I think it's about the same cost right this second. So for me, with the tax savings I got just for like business stuff, since I do drive this primarily for that kind of deal, I've got other vehicles as well. And the fact that I got it cheaper than what most people did within the past 3 or 4 months, I'm not super upset about it, but I will say this kind of thing does hurt consumer confidence in the sense that people are like, this is unprecedented. You don't see this kind of thing happening with like the Ford Raptors, and I'm comparing it to that because the Plaids are the flagship vehicles for Tesla. And so what are the other flagship vehicles on the other manufacturers? Well, Ford Raptor, you're not seeing $20,000 haircuts on the new vehicles. You're not seeing the used market decline so badly. Let's look at Toyota TRD Pros. No, you're not seeing that happen with those either. You're not seeing it in the AMGs, like the G-Class AMGs or anything from Mercedes. You're just not seeing this kind of a decrease on the new vehicles being sold anywhere. And so that's one thing with Tesla that me personally, as like a buyer of them, I don't really like. Now I've got a video out. I bought a Model 3 Performance, kind of the same thing. It said on the window sticker and in the software. I knew what I was doing. I did a lot of research for my first Tesla. I did a ton of research. On the software, it said it was a performance model. Had the red line, it said it was all that. But it was one of the stealth ones, if you know what that is, a P3D minus to be exact. And on the window sticker said it was a Performance, and then they went through and did an audit of some of the vehicles, and my vehicle got audited and they downgraded it to a long range. And it took me fighting with Tesla maybe 3 or 4 months for them to reinstate that. And they thought that I did something to the car, like hacked it or something, and all the paperwork was there. It was a nightmare. So there's certain things with these EVs to where we're kind of still in the wild, wild west to a degree. And a lot of it is because Elon is an aggressive businessman. And that's because, well, with all these competitors coming out, with all these awesome EVs, the difference is that Tesla actually has very good margins on their EVs. Whereas most other manufacturers like Ford and all these other ones, they're not making any money off the EVs at all. So they can't afford to take any sort of haircut on their prices. Whereas Tesla can do that and they can still be making money on them. So from a business standpoint, I think it was good in the sense that they can compete with the other automakers. From a customer loyalty standpoint, I think maybe you should have given people like, I don't know, that 10,000 supercharging miles or something like that to kind of like offset the sting of 2 weeks ago I bought a Model Y Performance and it's a $76,000 car, and now it's a $56,000 car. That stings big time. So I don't know. I don't really know. It would irritate me. I'm even mildly irritated about it. Is it like a huge deal to me? No, but I think that it's something that a lot of people, it is going to be a huge deal, especially if you were somebody who's young, who stretched your budget a little bit. And I'm young, but you know, whatever. But you're young, you stretched your budget a little bit to go ahead and get that Tesla, and then all of a sudden they rug pull you and the thing's your negative equity 20K on that sucker. Man, I feel bad. I feel bad for that kind of situation. So anyway, that's pretty much it, guys. If you have questions about any of this kind of stuff, please comment down below. I'd be happy to answer it. And if you want to see me start making videos a little bit outside of the realm of vehicles, I'm more than happy to do it. I would be thrilled to do it, actually. I just don't know if I get the views. So I'll continue to talk to my wife. But if you want to see anything else, please comment down below. I'd be happy to do it. And I'll see you in the next one.